Hello, my name is Russell Myers, and I am announcing my bid for U.S. President for 2024. Running as an independent, I know that I have an uphill battle ahead of me. So let me introduce myself first. I am a father, a nurse of over 27 years at this time, a U.S. Army veteran where I was a mechanic, and I have been working class all my life. I've been working since the age of 12. I've swung a scythe and pushed a manual push mower in the height of the Texas heat. I spent years in restaurants and worked in kitchens which exceeded 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the lunch rush. I know what it feels like to sweat, get dirty, lose sleep, work multiple jobs at a time, and spend many, many hours on my feet. I also write and have a small video channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Medium, all under the title of Issues Unite. If you are watching this on video, by now you've noticed that I am not wearing a suit and a tie. I have no problem wearing a suit and a tie for diplomatic or official purposes. However, I hate them. Instead, I want the average American to know that I relate to them. Too often, suits and ties come across as clothing indicating elitism. Governing should be considered work, and very few of us wear suits and ties to do our jobs. I am not rich. I do not live in Martha's Vineyard, nor do I care to. I was raised in a poor neighborhood by a single mother. I dropped out of school to take care of my mother when I was a teenager, and she was in a wheelchair, and I went back to school later. I know what it is to be poor enough to miss meals and to be at risk of being homeless. I once lived for a year and a half with no grid electricity because my home needed electrical repairs, which I could not afford at the time. I've taken buses for hours a day, ridden bicycles, walked for miles, and driven vehicles which were a public nuisance to get to and from work and school, college, etc. I've gone without medical and dental care due to my financial conditions at the time. I've survived all of that, but I've never forgotten any of it. It has served the purpose of being able to understand and relate to the millions of Americans who have ever suffered or who now suffer through such experiences. For the record, I have never received public assistance other than unemployment compensation or the GI Bill. I have had people tell me that I should run for office since I was in my 20s. My response was always the same, that I am too honest for public office. Well, while my honesty may still be held against me, I fully believe that the majority of Americans have awakened to the manipulation and dishonesty of our system enough that my chance of election at this moment is the highest it has ever been in U.S. history. Americans are ready for an honest president. My campaign will be a truly grassroots campaign. I have no corporate or wealthy donors, and I am not seeking such donors. Should some corporations or wealthy patrons choose to donate to my campaign, I'll be happy to take their money. But when you hear my policy proposals, you'll understand that that's extremely unlikely to happen. I will reject any donations which come with strings, favors, or quid pro quo expectations attached. In general, my campaign finances will depend entirely on small dollar donations from individuals like yourself. I am not doing this for the money, and this effort may well cost me more than any donations that I may receive. I'm still okay with that. I fully expect to have my name slandered by corporate media, other candidates, and elected officials. I expect to be called every name that you can imagine, accused of things which are completely untrue, and to be threatened many times. I accept these risks by my own choice because the potential benefits to this country and the global community far outweigh those risks. Because I am running as an independent, I will not be included in any primaries. Chances are I will not be included in any polls. I might be completely silenced, ignored, blackballed, etc. As a result of these things, I will not be included in any of what we hilariously call presidential debates. Chances are very good this will wind up being a write-in campaign. That's what I'm expecting right now. That can change. As of now, my campaign is planned to be primarily online, but a very responsive one. I have no campaign manager, I have no speechwriters, and no marketing experts. So what you hear are my own words, and I prefer to keep it that way. My responses may at times be slow in coming because I continue working full-time as a nurse even during my campaign. Yet even at that, I intend to keep my campaign going until Election Day, whatever the outcome may be. If I were elected, I would absolutely strive to be the best president in the history of this country. My dedication is to the people of this country, not the elite. If I am not elected, my goal is to illustrate to the general populace that we have viable alternatives to the system which has ravaged this nation and many other nations. To get people talking about potential alternatives on a wide scale and instill hope back into the lives of millions. We all know that we have heard for years, through one administration after another for decades, of how well this country is doing. Yet the alleged improvements in quality of life are invisible and elusive to the majority of us. How many improvements in your own life can in any way be attributed to the administration of any given time? We can change that. That is enough of a personal introduction. What are my policy proposals? I will offer a short introduction here to a select few of my proposals, but will go into detail in future articles and videos. First and foremost, I promise more honesty and transparency than any president in U.S. history. When I refer to honesty, I mean honesty like most people use the word, not in the frame used by politicians. Omission is dishonesty. I will never use deceptive wording in dealing with anyone, publicly or privately. At times, this may mean I would say things that some people disapprove of, while some people may dislike me or even hate me. They will still know that they can trust me and my administration. I and my administration would be concerned first and foremost with human and civil rights. Being independent also means that I am not beholden to any single party. I find the two major parties to be culpable in the division of the American public. This has been true for many decades. Rather than focusing on solving problems within our society, they continuously seek to capitalize on and expand even small differences, driving Americans apart rather than unifying us. My administration would focus on issues and solutions to problems, pressuring Congress to do the same by any means necessary. I would do everything in my power to end lobbying. While my preference would be making lobbying a criminal offense, it is unlikely that this would succeed under our current system. One method which could succeed would be making it mandatory that any and all contacts by any elected official or their staff with lobbyists would be fully documented, word for word, including audio and video recordings whenever possible. Those documents and recordings would be made public immediately. No FOIA requests required. It would also have to include disclosing all donations by lobbyists, including PAC money spent in the name of each elected official. Excuse me. Like the well-documented majority of Americans, I am in favor of universal health care, what is popularly referred to currently as Medicare for all. I would fight to make this a successful reality as quickly as possible. This would not include programs like the ACA, which we all understand is a corporate welfare program. This is absolutely a fight that I am ready to take on. One major thing we all know must be done is increasing taxes on the wealthiest 10% of Americans, especially the top 0.1%. If we do not do this, our economy is going to fail completely and may do so well before 2024. Thus, this is another fight that I am completely willing to fight. It is far beyond time that the wealthiest pay their share rather than stripping social support programs and ignoring infrastructure, collapsing bridges and roads, all for the sake of giving tax cuts to the wealthy. I would do all I can to make our system more fair, more healthy, more just, and more stable than we have ever seen. A major thing which is completely necessary is campaign finance reform in more than name. A major thing I will fight for is federal funding of all federal campaigns, with equal funding for the top 4 parties, not 2. You already pay for large campaign donations through increased consumer prices, low wages, jobs with no benefits, and high insurance deductibles. Making private donations illegal just makes sense and would break the cycle of Congress being composed of millionaires in debt to other millionaires and billionaires. I am committed to increasing wages. Several past presidents, pardon me, allergies. Several past presidents have claimed that they would increase wages, but this was only rhetoric, never an actual promise. Each one, without exception, has instead allowed wages to stagnate while reducing taxes on the wealthiest and corporations. Increasing wages is only part of the picture, but I will address that further later. Some other issues I will address are no more federal corporate subsidies. None. At all. Period. Increasing voter rights. Ending the drug war. Ending all wars we are currently in, with no plans to start new ones, and reducing military spending. I would revert the name of the Department of Defense to the previous and more appropriate name of the Department of War. This may seem like a small thing, but it is not. These are only a few things which I solemnly vow to attempt to achieve if elected. I will go into each subject in far more detail in future articles and videos, so I hope you'll follow along with me. This campaign is intended to be more than only an election campaign, but a social movement toward a more equal, fair, and caring society for the majority instead of the privileged minority. It is meant to spark discussions which are not being held on a large scale. I will not claim any of my ideas are new or original, but they are ideas which have been intentionally suppressed. I have no expectation that this campaign will be covered by corporate media unless it is with derision. That's okay, because I would very much prefer that this campaign be covered by independent media. If I get favorable coverage by corporate media, it would likely mean that I'm doing something wrong. The only other option would be if this does become a movement which becomes so large that the media can no longer ignore it. I'm sure that you will agree that we have had enough hatred, anger, and division in this country. We need a government which is honest, transparent, caring, and responsive to the needs of the people. No more contrived drama or cult thinking. We need a government focused on the issues we face. This is what I promise to focus on achieving. It may at times take an imaginative approach, but I truly believe it can be done. But it will take a massive societal effort. I will not be able to do this without your help. For now, I am not asking for any money. Imagine that. As I stated, that is not the point of my campaign. As yet, I have not even established a dedicated bank account for this campaign. Eventually, asking for donations will be necessary to cover the costs of the campaign. For now, all I ask is for your occasional time and attention. Thank you for your time. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel or page on which you are reading or listening. Share this article or video to help grow a movement that you can believe in, no matter what party that you may subscribe to.